have to start focusing on what's about to happen, and you get less days. So you'll notice the camp will start getting a little bit more quieter. Blokes will be off by themselves, starting to think about a few more things. So, yeah, this is when it all starts to get really serious, because you've had your fun, you've had your light-hearted training runs, you've had a few beers and all that sort of stuff, but now it starts to get serious. And the flight up there, the bus ride to the hotel, yeah, it's the pointy end now.
Yeah, it's on you. Nate's exactly right. You start to dial in over the weekend, and it all becomes really sharpening up. And you could see, or you could hear in Angus, he's looking forward to it, excited, because it's getting closer and closer. The camps can get quite long, particularly by game 3 if you've been there for all 3 games. But yeah, when the weekend sort of rolls around, okay, it's getting real now, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the game. I think off the back of the success with New South Wales last year, can they repeat that? Can they go up there and play like they did at Suncorp last year? And Queensland, a few question marks around their selection, but we've seen in the past, sometimes this is exactly where they want to be. A few question marks over their team. Run out there on Suncorp Stadium and represent their state as well. It's a good time of year, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm really happy with the team New South Wales picked. I think if they can nail their footy, hopefully they can be too strong this year again for Queensland.
Angus Crichton mentioned there the idea of embracing and loving, soaking up being hated, which I guess you have to do at Suncorp Stadium, because that's the state of play, isn't it?
Well, you just do. That's part of the game. It's part of the tradition. So, but he's a little bit more like me, where he was a bit rat's ass. Who cares what Queensland are doing? We concentrate on our own game. But it was some good advice from Max King about to soak up the week, because that's what you remember most, I reckon, about playing Origin. Yeah, the games are awesome, but the nerves that come with the game. So you enjoy the week with making new friends and having those good times, because every time you think about, Wade and I, we'll talk about Origin. We'll talk about what happened in camp, the fun times we had in camp, and who did what and all that sort of stuff. That's the stuff you cherish the most, is those times in camp with those blokes and having a good time, as much as winning a series, but it's all about the camp.
Yeah, and he spoke a lot about that connection, growing that connection in the relationship with your teammates, and it's important, because when they do run out on Suncorp Stadium, there won't be any Blues fans there, or their family might be there, but there won't be much support. So all you really have is your staff and your teammates when you run out, and it's a special arena to be a part of, and they should enjoy it. Like he said, he's worked his whole life to give himself an opportunity to play in these moments, and they should enjoy it. But New South Wales will get a turn as well when the game 3 comes back here, and Queensland have to run out there at our core stadium. We'll get a turn with our support, and they'll be in the same position. So it's
a different feeling though up there, isn't it? Running out to a full house up there at Suncorp, and I'm not going to say Queensland do it better, but they are so passionate. Like every kid that turns up is in something maroon. Everyone that turns up, we're down here, we're a little bit. We'll just rock up in whatever. Crowds are still great, but there's nothing better than running out Origin at a full Suncorp Stadium. They're just giving it to you. It's the best.
And they'll have targets. There's charisma amongst the New South Wales side, isn't there? There's people like the Troll. There's Spencer. Liam Martin. Those guys that
Stoking the fire already.
Exactly. They've got those blokes who do. They're going to receive it, but it's going to be just edge of your seat.
I'd love to see Spencer start. I don't know, just for that softening up period, the first 10, 15 minutes.
Would everybody survive that first tackle when he comes from the back fence, though?
That's why I parked myself on the front line. So I wasn't carting off the back end.
I would love to see it because of how fiery and that first run, how powerful he is. But I like him on the bench as well. And I think that's when I look at both teams and compare them, I think New South Wales bench is a lot more balanced and a little bit more versatile, and that's where we can really get an advantage. Obviously the game needs to go the right way, and hopefully they can execute their plan. But I really like the New South Wales bench and how it could play out if the game goes our way. But it would be fun to see him off the back fence, opening kickoff of Origin.
First up, and he winds up and just gets stuck. And they'll be coming for him too, which is even better. So, you could see some very, very heavy contact first up.
Yeah. The non-selection of Selwyn Cobbo.
Yeah, that was interesting. We all heard what happened last year with the story on the eve of that game 3, the decider. I think Danny Weidler reported last year that Selwyn Cobbo wasn't seeing eye to eye with the the Queensland coaching staff. That was ridiculed last year, and I found it interesting that he wasn't picked this year. I know there was a wrist concern, but that wasn't the reason he wasn't picked. He was cleared of a fractured wrist that they thought he may have suffered, and they instead go with a debutant who's played 10 games. This was all after Murray Taulagi was going to get picked. Murray Taulagi was going to get picked ahead of Selwyn Cobbo. What do you make of that, Wado?
I would just say, that you don't underestimate the injury cloud that he was under, and if he does come in the camp and has to withdraw, the effect it has on Robert Toya. If he was the next man up, at having to step up, he, instead of coming to camp as a backup player, after 10 games in the NRL, then Selwyn Cobbo gets ruled out, and all of a sudden he's next man up. That mentality is like, oh, do I really belong here? I was here on standby, and now I'm in the team. Instead of that, his mentality in the camp is, no, we're picking you. We don't care about the injury cloud or Selwyn. We're just going to back you to come in and do the job. I think you got to weigh that up as a coach, and I'm sure Billy would have, in the mentality of bringing a young guy in, so inexperienced. You want him to feel like and understand that, no, I want you in this team. You're not just here as the next man up. So I think that played into it. I have no doubt, around the talk and Selwyn and the staff, I think he'll play for Queensland again, and I think Billy will be the coach when Selwyn's back into that team. It's just wasn't the right fit for what he had in mind now.
Last year, Madge managed to get under Billy Slater's skin a little bit, which kind of increased the temperature a little bit on State of Origin. Laurie Daly kind of had the opportunity and didn't take it. Let's have a listen.
Do you hate Queensland?
Do I?
Hate Queensland?
Oh, hate's a strong word. Hate's a strong word.
This is a strong word.
That's what I say to my kids when they say, I hate so-and-so. Mate, you don't hate anyone.
Well,
Hate's a strong word, mate, But in this case, no, we do hate them. We hate all of them, especially this time of year. Lawrence, you hate them. You always have. When you hated them when you played against them, and you hate them now as a coach.
Yeah.
So just come out and say it, because they would say it to us.
Why do you think he didn't say it? You could see his head was ticking.
He wanted to, because he didn't.
But why?
But there you go. That's fuel. That's what we spoke about before. Adding that fuel to the fire, because Queensland they're a side that like to stick things up on paper, because and we know they're not the best readers, but for some reason they still do stick it up in the sheds. Any little bit of clipping, any little bit of article that has thrown that bit of fuel on the fire, if us bagging them or whatever, they will stick it up in the shed. So every time you walk past it,
it's a motivator.
It's a motivator.
So what? So what?
I don't get it.
Does it really? You guys are the former players. Does it really make that much of a difference on the field?
I was interviewed years and years ago in Origin, and I didn't know who Jacob Lillyman was. He was one of a new kid in the team, and they've interviewed me and said, "What do you think of this?" Oh, I don't even know who he is. Bang,
bang,
motivation. Yeah. So I kind of learnt a little bit then to keep my mouth shut, but. In this case, it's the coaches, so go for your life.
Oh, I don't think they could use it as motivation, but you're not going to be any more motivated as a player with the rivalry and whatever the coach said. It's more theatre for the fans, and I think the New South Wales fans would love to hear Laurie say that and rally behind him. But for the players, particularly game one, I don't think there's all that much in it. I am interested to see how Billy reacts with the media, because he was definitely off his game last year, the back and forth with Madge, his frosty relationship with the journos, which it's funny because he works in the media, right? Yep. He's on Channel 9. He knows how it works. He knows what the game outside of the game is all about. But there was no doubt last year in the way the results went, he wasn't himself. And it was easy to see. It was visible in his demeanour and his personality. And I'm guessing, knowing Billy, he would have went away and looked back at that period, and he wouldn't have been happy with how he reacted and how he came across. So I'm keen to see how he deals with all the pressure this year.
We should prank him. Have we got his number? Let's start. We'll
start
pranking him in the middle of the night and all that sort of stuff. Let's do that. Yeah,
great idea.
The best was last year when that press conference was on. After, I think it might have been game 2 in Melbourne, and Brad Walter from NRL.com asked about potential changes, and he said, "We're still Queenslanders."
Yeah, we're still Queensland.
And then he said, "What does that mean?" And then I think Billy just backed down a little bit, didn't want to...
Was that the whole glass houses thing as well?
That was after that. And he said, we're from Queensland. Well, I think there were some things, obviously...
Well, then he also said somebody got dropped, and he said he took it like a Queenslander, which is very weird.
Yeah.
Fair
I accept getting dropped. That's right. Who wins?
New South Wales. Of course we do. God, what a silly question.
I think Angus gave away a little bit there in terms of the camp and what they're planning. And I think it's important that they nail that, the power game. Now, Nathan in the past and that Penrith connection have probably tried to play a little bit like Penrith too much, and it hasn't suited that Origin arena. There's a big difference in clubland and the way you game plan for clubland and representative footy. And I really hope they stick to their guns and play that power game like they did last year in terms of Lomax out of the backfield, To'o out of the backfield. Not so much passing between the forwards or passing from the forwards out the back to Nathan or Mitch. Just bang down the front door, allow Nathan and Mitch to kick into good places, defend well, and then when you get an opportunity, be eyes up, play over the ad line and take on your cues. And I think when Nathan's got it in him, we see in those games, the big moments when he's had to step up at club level, it hasn't been because of the Penrith system. He's seen opportunity, he's gone after it. He hasn't, you could probably be a little bit guilty when you're so confident and believe in your system. If you see something at clubland, you go, okay, I know that looks going to be there for me again. But when he steps up and plays, has an opportunity for a 40-20 or has an opportunity to rip a tired middles inside shoulder off with his footwork, I think he's got to do that, and hopefully him and Mitch are on the same page. But I'm confident. Listen, we've got to play well. It's hard to win up in Suncorp, but if they get that power game right, I think we can hurt them.
Yeah, you asked Mitch about the Mitch Moses Nathan Cleary combination. Was that when your team? Did you have the two of them as your halves?
I did, yes, in my half.
So you're happy with that?
I'm more than happy with that. Yeah, I think they can. They're professional athletes. Doesn't matter where they play, and they'll work out the system that they want to play the best football with. So yeah, I think for me in the halves, the best two players get the job. Whether they both play in a 7 or they both play in a 6, that's what they do. All
right, Chamma, you've been in and out. You've been on the phone. You've been just seeing if there's any change in the Lachlan Galvin story. What is the absolute latest?
Yeah, and I've been hitting the phones today because I expect an answer very soon, potentially today, maybe even tomorrow. I think Galvin's preference is to get this done and dusted so he doesn't end up going back to Tigers training, potentially named in the team on Tuesday to play for Parramatta if he signs for them, but the Dogs have a bye, so he wouldn't be playing till at least King's birthday. But as it stands right now, the Dogs and Eels have met with him. They met with him on Wednesday night. They both have put forward offers at around 700, averages out around $750,000 a year. It's my understanding, and I haven't been able to get it confirmed, but there is strong suggestion that maybe Parramatta overnight have upped their offer a bit to try and get Lachie Galvin. And for the Bulldogs, well, they want Lachie Galvin to come for the right reasons. They have long said that with Ben Hunt last year. Previously, when other players have come off contract, I think they've made a point that if you want to come to the Bulldogs, then you need to make that decision. I think when they're speaking to Mitchell Moses, that was the case as well. So, as it sits right now, if you asked me yesterday, Tone, I would probably would have said I'd lean towards the Dogs. But if Parramatta have upped their offer, and if they have a clear pathway for him, which at the moment they do, it's come over here, be our number 6 alongside Mitchell Moses because Dylan's going to be leaving. Whereas at the Dogs, I don't think it's as clear cut. I would back Cameron Ciraldo's coaching to turn him into a 7 if that's what their plan is, or potentially turn someone else into a 7 if Toby Sexton moves on. But I think it's probably more clear cut what he does at Parramatta. But in terms of their development as football teams, you walk into the Bulldogs team and you're competing for a premiership straight away. It's a longer road back at Parramatta. So I don't know which way he goes. I genuinely don't know. The amount of people who have messaged me saying which way is he going. If I knew, I would have written it. I don't know. If I had to guess at the moment, I'd say it's swung back from the Dogs to Parramatta.
Well, it's an interesting one. It's a big decision for him. Like you said, Bulldogs are probably they're trending way above Parramatta, and there's no guarantee that Parramatta will be even trending above the Tigers in 12 months' time, the way the Tigers are going and slowly improving their footy. And Lockie said himself he was worried about his development and his career path if he remained at the Tigers. So if the money is close, I know you said Parramatta might have upped it a little bit to try and lure him in, and there is an easy fit there for him on the left-hand edge where Dylan Brown won't be. It makes a little bit more sense. But if it's really about development and going to a team that's going to improve your footy and a coach that certainly is going to improve your footy, well, that's the Bulldogs. That is the Bulldogs with what he's said in his how he sees his career going, and wherever he ends up playing, whether it's 6 or 7, or he could probably fill out to be a 13. The way that Hayward's playing, I don't know how much he likes to defend or how much he would want to apply himself in that area to fill that role. But what he said in that statement, the original statement about he wants to develop and he wants his career path to go north, for me, it's the Bulldogs.
But if he's wanting to develop, does that mean if he goes to the Dogs, he's got to change the style of footy he plays that's gotten him to where?
Well, you need to
while
fit
we're
into
talking
that
to
system.
him about, yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's why I think could be. He would just go from where he is now at the Tigers, and he'd fit straight into the Eels squad, as you said. Like not changing the style of footy he's playing, because obviously Moses will be the one that's running the ship, and Galvin can sit back and just run when he wants to run, and that's his strength, his running game. So, and I'm very much with what we're saying in the regards if he goes to the Dogs, he probably could develop a little bit more, but I think they'll try and change the style of play that's gotten him to a point while we're talking about him today. And I don't know if he wants to change the style of play that he's doing at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but in terms of coaching, right, Serraldo and Jason Rolls, we have to give him respect.
Well, he's brand new roles. But he's still learning himself.
100, and 100%.
But also, there's Mitchell though. He could learn he's got a 7 to learn off. Like Mitchell, with all due respect to Matty Burton's probably going to teach him a little bit more about the craft of being.
Yeah, but I don't think.
A good half.
Again, and there's relationship issues at the Tigers with him and Jerome. But if you put up Jerome and Mitchell next to each other, Jerome's got better credentials and he's a winner.
Yeah.
If there's someone to learn off, like that's the guy to learn off. I know he plays a different style to Mitch, and Mitch is probably more polished in his footy. But in terms of what he's done on the field, Jerome is the winner, and he's probably someone. Okay, that's what I can learn off him. But obviously a different style of player. But
and Benji
and Benj, but yeah, he's a good player. He's going to fit into any system. You're going to have to adjust any style to fit different teams. But like if you put up even Serraldo and what he's done, he was a part of that Penrith, that Penrith connection, and look how far he's come with the Dogs, and even someone like Stephen Crichton.
Yeah,
like as a player and as a character and a personality, like put him next to him and see this is what it takes. This is how you apply yourself. This is a belief. Like how much is he going to gain off him? Like there's leaders there. He'll be next to Kickow on the left hand side if that's where he plays. I think yeah. If I'm him, and what he said.
So you're going to the Dog. You put yourself in his shoes. You're heading to the Dogs.
Well, what he said, I'm only taking on what he said. Like he wants to develop.
There's no right or wrong answer here because we don't know what we're doing. We're just suggesting where he's going to go.
I'm going to Dogs.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they look like they look like.
I'm with you. I'm not going to the Dogs. I'm going to blue and gold.
The Dogs are why, and you've worked with him, Gus. Why would he be so definitive in saying, he's not part of our plans and won't be part of our plans, and suddenly he is part of their plans?
Look, to be fair to Gus, I don't think he's been in their conversations since he made that comment. Everyone is saying that he's going to Parramatta, that this has been done for a while. But I think that Lachlan Galvin has put the Bulldogs in a situation where they've come back into the conversation because he wants to go to the Dogs. His relationship with Luke Vettel, the assistant coach, his former high school teacher, one of his close mates, that's strong. That's really strong. And the Dogs are, I think, back in this conversation because of Lockie's desire to want to go there, which is why I thought that he would go to the Dogs. Now, a decision needs to be made soon.
If he changes his mind because of an extra $500,000, though, that seems that the idea of going there to learn isn't really the top of his mind.
But it can't be about the money because, to be honest with you, if it was about the money, he'd stay at the Tigers.
Yeah.
It was a deal worth potentially up to $6 million over 5 years, Tone. Now we're talking, if the Bulldogs and Eagles, and I'm hearing it's a 3-year deal, 3 years, 750, what's that do? Your maths, 2.2 something million. But compared to $6 million, like he's going to give up a guaranteed $3.8 million. So this can't be about the money. Sure, it might help between the two, but if it's all about money, he stays at the Tigers and he sacrifices whatever his feelings are to do it. I don't think Gus was lying when he said what he did. I don't think the Bulldogs have been behind the scenes for a month now trying to get Lachlan Galvin. Have they come back in the last week? I think it has, and that's been born by Lachlan Galvin realising the end date at the Tigers is near. He's probably going to get a release, and he does want to explore that Bulldogs option. Well, so if I'm the Bulldogs, I'd be disappointed if he doesn't go there after making that clear to the club.
Well, there's signs here that they haven't re-signed Sexton. That's kind of that's playing into Galvin's hands a little bit, or the scenario that he might be going to the Bulldogs, because I think Sexton's done a wonderful job there at the Bulldogs at the moment. and they're still haven't decided to re-sign him. So that's a little something there that's worth looking at. But
is the other thing the desire to move immediately? Does that involve the legal action being dropped, or the bullying stuff?
Well, this is an interesting one because Shane Richardson at the start was speaking a very big game about we're not going to let him go. We're not going to be dictated to by managers. And I think in the initial conversations with Lachlan Galvin and the Moses camp about leaving, the transfer fee that the Tigers were thinking was close to 7 figures. In the end, it's $165,000, $175,000 for him to leave. That's the transfer fee put on it.
Off the soft cap.
Off the soft cap. That's what they want to be paid.
Yep.
So that's a long way to go from 7 figures down to that. So clearly the legal, my understanding of this situation, you read into it, is the fear of what was happening legally. The lawyers must have got involved and say, mate, forget the million. If you got 165, take it, because maybe that case was strong enough. And I don't think Lachlan Galvin was ever going to go through with it. I don't think the Isaac Moses and that clan were ever going to go through with the legal threat. That's all it was. It was a threat. Yeah. And if the Tigers didn't release him, they may have executed it. But they've got what they wanted. They've allowed him permission to leave. They'll get $165,000. And this whole notion of where we're not going to be walked all over, I think the greater good of the football team and the club has become the priority. And I don't think Benji Marshall, Api Coruscant, Jerome Luai wanted the circus to continue anymore. You could see Benji when we asked him after the game last week what his thoughts were. He said he had thoughts, he had these views on it, but he was going to keep them to himself. And I believe those views were, we need this to end and we need to move on. I just wanted to ask you about Parramatta. I know we just talked about Galvin then, but if he does come to Para, what happens with the team? Where does he move into 6? Does Dylan go to centre?
You're obsessed, aren't you?
I'm very fascinated by it.
Because we were talking about if he goes to the Dogs, everyone's talking about if he goes to the Bulldogs, he'll upset their program.
Yeah.
Obviously because they're on a different position on the ladder. So, look, I think if he does go to the Eels, I can see him kind of probably slotting in there at 6, maybe even reshuffle in the back row somewhere like that sort of stuff. But no, look, if Dylan Brown's off next year, he's heading next year. So I think he could obviously slide into the centres.
In the perfect world, will they ask Dylan Brown to leave then? If they got Lucky Galvin leave this year?
I think that will be the play. And nothing has happened yet. I think that the Eels will, if they get Lockie, will ask the question, do you want to leave now? The question is going to be, can Newcastle fit him? The fact they've missed out on Dom Young, it looks like, helps the cause. They're going to have some money. They couldn't afford it earlier in the year. But as we get closer to June 30, perhaps they can. It might not be an immediate thing, Tone.
Yeah.
We might wait a month and Dylan plays in the centres, or Dylan plays lock. I heard potentially him playing lock.
But also, too, I think Brownie could come off as a good number 14 as well, coming on the bench. I know they've got Walker there at the moment, who's doing outstanding things. So I could possibly see Brownie coming in as a bit of an impact player as well around the ruck, doing some good stuff there.
I think you'd think Dylan Brown would be accommodating to whatever the club needed and the team needed.
I think so, but that's the sort of bloke Brownie is. He knows he's off at the end of the year, so and whatever roles he asks of him, he's quite capable of doing.
No one's begrudging him for signing that deal at Newcastle. No one could say no to a deal like that.
We would have all signed it.
Yeah, 100%.
They put that deal in front of us, it would have been bang. When do you want me?
But then he's been there for a while. He wants to see the club go well. So if Lockie comes across, I'd imagine Dylan would go, let's do what we need to do to get this kid comfortable and get and look to the future, and I'll help out where I can. If that involves going to the centres, which I think he would be a good centre, I'd imagine that wouldn't be an issue.
If I'm Dylan Brown, I don't want to go to Newcastle now. Like, with the pressure that he's going to be on. Imagine going there with the way they're playing, having not played with any of those guys, and everyone's going to judge you on your first few games.
No, but this is what I was arguing about at the point. The people who should be under pressure are the footy manager and the recruitment, whoever put this deal together.
Not the player.
Whoever Dylan's got to go there and perform. He's going to be on a lot of money. He's got to play his style of footy.
Yeah.
But he can be held accountable for the on-field performance. But if it all goes pear-shaped and it doesn't work, whoever put this deal together, they're the ones who should be copping the heat, because we all think it's a bit outlandish. I don't think he's a proven 7 who's going to get a team around the park. And is his combination with Kalen Ponga going to work? Is Kalen going to be there in a couple of years? Who knows where that goes?
I'm making a point about now. Like if you're Dylan, what advantage? What is there to gain out of going now?
Well, he's going to get a lot of money.
No, but he's not. They're not going to give him more than what he's on. He's going to be on his current deal.
Not now. I thought you meant overall.
I'm saying right
like,
now, in the next few weeks, if he
no,
ends
I
up at
don't-
Newcastle with the way they're playing and people judging him on his performances,
But what
based-
changes when he gets there next year?
Well,
Then
this has
maybe
got a
playing
pre-season.
season.
you can
That's
also,
sorry, that's
you can
what I was talking
you can
about.
start
I
those
thought you meant
combinations.
overall.
You can start those combinations now.
Yeah.
Like start working on. It'll be like an early off season or early pre-season. I know we're kind of writing the Knights off for the season. So, I think if you did go to the Knights now, it would be a little bit of a
Head start.
head start on what they're looking forward to for the start of 2026.